A very romantic contract. Let's just pretend we're in love. What could go wrong? Ethan Parker was in trouble. Serious trouble. His grandmother, Mrs. Parker, a sweet but excessively persistent, he had decided it was time for him to marry. "Ethan, dear," she said, with a suspiciously charming smile. "This year, at the family reunion, I expect to meet your girlfriend." "What, me? Your girlfriend, darling?" "I know you've been busy with your company, but it's time to start a family." Ethan swallowed. He didn't have a girlfriend. He wasn't even dating anyone. "Grandma, if you show up alone again, I'll have Aunt Margaret set you up with her neighbor." Ethan paled. Because the neighbor was a 58-year-old woman with 3 cats and an obsession with gardening area. So he did the only logical thing a man in his situation could do. He hired a fake girlfriend. Well, technically, he asked his best friend Olivia for a favor. "Let me see if I understood correctly," said Olivia, arms crossed. "Do you want me to pretend to be your girlfriend at a family gathering to prevent your grandmother from marrying you off to a lady who wears a velvet robe?" "Basically, yes." Olivia sighed Pierrot. "Ethan, this is ridiculous. Please. Just for a weekend." She stared at him. "What do I get out of it? I owe you a favor." Olivia pretended to think. "Does it include letting me choose the movie? Movie on our next movie night?" "Yes. Even if it's a musical." Ethan gritted his teeth. "Even if it's a musical." Olivia smiled. "Deal." The family reunion. At first, everything was going perfect. Olivia was lovely, her grandmother was happy, and Aunt Margaret didn't mention the neighbor with the cats. But then the problems began. First, Ethan's cousin flirted brazenly with Olivia. "If one day you get tired of Ethan, here's a more interesting option," he said with a cheap gallant smile. "Oh, don't worry, Olivia replied, taking Ethan's hand. "I am very satisfied with my choice." Ethan almost choked on his drink. Then his grandmother asked them to tell how they met. Ethan hesitated, but Olivia didn't. "It was so romantic," she said with a dreamy smile. "We were trapped in an elevator, and he saved me from panic by telling bad jokes until the firefighters arrived." Ethan blinked. Yes, exactly. "And then, when we got out, emos, he insisted on inviting me to a coffee to compensate for the trauma." "That's right. And that's when I realized I was in love." Ethan felt his heart flip. Because, although I knew Olivia was acting, the way she looked at me at that moment, it felt too real. But the worst came after. "We want to see proof," the grandmother announced, smiling mischievously. "Test?" repeated Ethan. "A kiss." Ethan and Olivia looked at each other. "Come on, darling, a little kiss," said Aunt Margaret. Olivia swallowed. Ethan too. And then, without thinking too much, he leaned in and kissed her. It was a brief kiss. Simple. But something changed in that instant, because neither of them could ignore the fact that it didn't feel fake. When the meeting ended, and Olivia and they returned home, the tension was evident. "Well, it was an interesting experience," said Olivia, laughing nervously. "Yes." Silence. "Ethan." "The kiss." "It was only part of the plan," he said quickly, demente. "Yes. Only part of the plan." But then their gazes crossed. And at that moment, they knew the truth. That the plan had gone completely wrong. Because now, the romance was no longer falso. End.